So after Abaya begins to grant us reparation, once the reparation by Yah, remember, to the remnant of his people, once the reparation process starts, we know at that point, we know that we are at the beginning of the end. Yes, yes, yes. Once we begin to receive reparation, which is that which was taken from us, has now started, Yah is making that return to us. Once that starts, Zion, I need you to hear me closely. You will begin to clearly see evidences. There will be evidence. It'll be manifest to the whole world that we're at the beginning of the end. In Joel, I'm going to continue my thought about this. In Joel, we're told that the locusts, and all different forms of locusts, whether hopping or flying, whether crawling or creeping, they all took advantage of us and left us with nothing. Yah says, I'm going to restore. Now watch the text. This is so good, Zion. I couldn't hardly hold it. I have to tell you, you got to hear this. The number one possession, or I should say, the chief of all possessions, or I should say, the greatest of all of the possessions that were stolen from us, the greatest thing, the most important thing, the most valuable thing that was taken from us, listen to me, was Torah. I'm all right. You heard me. Out of everything that they took, and they took everything. They even took you and me, Zion. But greater than everything that they took from us, the greatest thing that they took from us was Torah, which is Yah's word. They took it from us. And once they took the Torah from us, and we no longer had Yah's word, of course they were able to, after that, almost completely unravel and dismantle our relationship with our own Elohim. And of course, in exchange for Torah, they gave us a satanic perversion that comes straight up out of the pit of hell. And that perversion was given to the house of Israel through a demon named Constantine. And once the dragon from the depths of the sea got a hold to that demon, he took our holy manuscript and immediately made all of us who worship the true and living Elohim, who keep the Shabbat, who kept all the feast days, He immediately made all of us enemies of the state by killing, maiming us, the Inquisition, the theft, the murder, the slave trade. I could go on, but for the sake of time, I want you to know it was taken. So for over 1,000 years or more, matter of fact, 2,000 years, we, Yah's people, were separated from Yah because we were separated from Torah, which Torah means, Torah is his instructions. Torah is his word to us. Torah is where we found our covenant. Torah is how we have our relationship with our Elohim and our relationship with each other. Torah is what teaches us how to live. Tells us who we are and whose we are. So when that was taken, then of course it fulfilled hundreds of verses of the Bible where there was an exchange. There was, we had cisterns, and then we exchanged that for broken cisterns that couldn't hold no water. We were on the straight path, and we exchanged that for the crooked. I can go on and on. But hear the more, because I'm just trying to show you something in the text. Isaiah said it got so bad. Now remember, he's talking future. He could see the future. He said, it's so bad that the ox will know his owner, and the donkey knows where he lives, but my people won't know, and they won't even consider. Why? Because it would have been taken from them. The knowledge of who they are. The knowledge of who they are. And it will be replaced by bywords. It will be replaced by lies. It will be replaced by propaganda. It will be replaced, and we will be traumatized through the crimes against humanity that were inflicted upon our people worldwide, primarily by the European, but everybody had a hand in it. So one of the things that happens as a result of Abba Yah's reparation, watch this, Zion, this is so good. We helping open eyes to the scriptures all over the world. One of those things that he's going to give back to us. First is Torah. The greatest gift, the greatest, it contains wealth greater than rubies and diamonds, silver and gold. The knowledge of Torah is to be held on to and sought after greater than you would search for any riches that's on earth. And what Yah did as he began to repair, that's what reparation is, right? What he does in the reparation process to repair us, he first had to give us back Torah. Because once he gives us Torah, then the repairing can take place. Then we can have reparation. So the heathen stole our books, stole our language, stole our history, stole our customs, and told us that we wasn't nothing but niggas and spooks and coons, and y'all know that story. And they've been holding this information, and then had nerve to tell you that the Old Testament was done away with, and had nerve to tell us that they didn't know nothing about no Hebrew, no ancients, and no customs, and nothing. Come to find out in these last days that heathen been lying. This whole time they've had all our stuff, This whole time they've had our Hebrew language. This whole time they've had our Torah scrolls. This whole time they've had our menorahs. This whole time they've had our last names. This whole time they've had our instructions. This whole time they've had our history. This whole time they did not destroy it or burn it up. No, they held on to everything. And in these last days, they got to give it back. And when we watch Yah give back to us that which the canker, the locust and the caterpillar and the canker, when he gives back to us what they took from us, we know we're getting close to that valley of decision. We're getting close. Woo, we're getting close to the valley of Jehoshaphat. Why? Because we're being repaired. A broken people, a scattered people, a destroyed people are being repaired. And we are being repaired by Torah. Now, I want you to listen, and I want you to listen close. In these next few minutes, I just want to talk about a verse that you've heard your whole life, but you heard it out of context. Some greasy pig meat eating preacher read this to you, and he didn't interpret it right because he got it from a white European preacher who didn't interpret it right, who got it from, of course, the European Christian churches that run the world, who wouldn't dare interpret it right to you, Zion, because they know that this verse right here means the demise. It means the demise of the empire. When this happens, the destruction of the empire is imminent. And what is that? And it shall come to pass. Where am I? Joel chapter 2, verse 28. Listen. And it shall come to pass afterward. After what? After he begins the gathering, after he begins waking up his people, after he begins the reparation process, the repairing of his people, after his people are repaired, or I should say, as we are in the process of reparation, watch the text. It'll come to pass afterwards, after that starts. After we are back with Torah, we are back in covenant. Once we get our Hebrew, once we get our Hebrew words, when we get our Hebrew understanding, we get our Hebrew customs, we understand the covenant, and we begin to walk in the covenant. Once we dedicate our lives to our King, and we fall in line with Deuteronomy that says that prophet that shall come, like unto Moshe, who is none other than Yehoshua HaMashiach, him we must listen, we must obey, because it'll be required of us once we bow to him, who we know is the visible image of the invisible Yah. He then does something for us that we can't do for ourselves. He pays the penalty for the sins of the house of Israel, all 12 tribes. And of course, he dies. He is killed. He's really murdered, to be honest. But we know death couldn't kill him. He said, no man take my life. So let's get that straight. Oh, don't do it more where you'll be preaching. This ain't supposed to be a preaching video. But he said, no man, no man take my life. That's the kind of king we got. He said, I lay my life down. And if I lay it down, he said, I got the power to pick it up again. Oh, okay. Boy, where was you going with that? Oh, yes. I get excited talking about my king. So, watch. After the death and the burial and the resurrection of our king, and he dies according to the scriptures, of course, we know that in the text. The next celebration that took place in our feast days was called, in English they say the day of Pentecost, but that's a Greek word. It was really the Feast of Weeks. And it was during the time of the Feast of Weeks that we were told to go into an upper room and pray and get on one accord. That's the time when, of course, the ruach came down and lit up on the shoulder. I mean, an image of a cloven tongue lit up on the shoulders of each of them, and they began to speak with other languages as the ruach gave them utterance. Now, I want you, I'm not done with this. Just listen. And we find out in that passage what they were actually saying. They were preaching the mighty works of Yah, which is one of the Psalms. That's a name of one of the Psalms. All right? It's called the mighty works of Yah. I've preached too many sermons on that, so I'm not going to get into that right now. And they all heard the mighty works of Yah, even though they were all what? Of another tongue, of another language. That's what made it so impressive. It was not babbling. It was not gibberish. It was not unintelligent language. It wasn't this stupid stuff that we hear people doing all over the world today that come up out of Europe. And you people watching me, you better stop that foolish practice, because that has some African mysticism and Satanism in it, as well as European Satanism. That whole just babbling, don't do that. Okay, but when they were speaking the mighty works of Yah. That's why Kepha, who is Peter, y'all know him as Peter, that's why he was able to point to Joel. The reason that he was able to point to Joel is because he was marking a point in time. And what would be that time? And it shall come to pass that afterward I'll pour out of my ruach upon all flesh. What does that mean? And of course, if we're reading now context. So let's just, for a moment, imagine that we don't have Pentecost right now, right? We're just listening to Joel, right? We're just focusing on what Joel is talking about. So if we're just focusing on what Joel is talking about and not hearing it from Kepha, but just hearing it from Joel himself, because Kepha is quoting Joel, right? So what is Joel talking about? The context of the book of Joel is that Yah is going to restore his people. Because, of course, his people would have been robbed and spoiled and plundered in slavery. And I've dealt with that already. That's the whole theme of Joel. So here he says, and it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my ruach upon all flesh. Now, that all flesh has to be defined. Because when he says all flesh, he is not talking about everybody on earth. He ain't getting ready to pour out his ruach on the Antichrist. Talk more, Ray. He's not getting ready to pour out his ruach on the beast. The ruach is not finna fall on the beast system. The ruach is not getting ready to fall upon the slavers. The ruach is not going to fall on the locusts and the caterpillars. That's not what he's talking about. He's saying it will come a time, it shall come to pass when the reparation begins, when the repairing of his people take place, that he will pour out his ruach, which is his word. Now, here's the word, upon all flesh, which represents this, that he's not going to just be picking out like just the man or just the woman or just the children or just this person or just that person. That's not how it's going to work. He said when the reparation takes place, he will be pouring Torah upon all people. And if you want to use the word kinds, you can kind of put that. Let's prove these things in the script. Open your Bible. to Joel chapter 2, verse 28. And it shall come to pass afterwards, after the reparation of Israel. That's what he's talking about. It shall come to pass after that, I'll pour out my ruach upon all flesh. Why? Because we'll need the Torah. He's going to give it back to us. And when he does that, he says, your son. So now we know who he's talking to. I just did that whole thing because I knew where we're getting. I knew eventually I was going to get you here. So he's talking about your sons. This is Israel. He's making a promise to Israel about us, not the whole world. This promise is to Israel about us, who are the sons and the daughters of this captivity that he's been talking about from the beginning. The sons and daughters of those who lost everything. This is us. Pour out my ruach upon all flesh, and your sons, not the whole world sons, your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. And that word prophesy does not mean fortune telling. Whew, I ain't got time. It don't mean fortune telling. It means that for the first time in a long time, they'll be able to read the Bible, the Torah, and get the proper understanding. That's what it means. So here's the hope for a nation in captivity, that one day your sons and your daughters will receive the ruach of Yah, which is the word of Yah, and as a result, they'll be able to live Yah, they'll be able to read the Torah, they'll be able to understand the Torah, and they'll be able to pass down the teachings and the principles of Torah, because that really is what biblical prophecy is. You know what? I'm going to take a couple more minutes in this video because I want to complete my thought before we move to the next video. And your sons and your daughters shall, again, teach according to Torah. Your old men shall dream dreams. Now, what's that all about? So the idea of, I guess I'm in that old man category now. The idea of dreaming dreams, right, has to do with the fact that when you're in captivity and all your hope is gone, it's hard for you to, I'm just going to use an English word here, it's hard for you to imagine when all hope is gone. It's hard for you to see things. It's hard for you to, when you are down and depressed and in captivity, it's hard for you to dream positive dreams. It's hard for you. It's hard. Oh my, let me finish this video. Okay. But he says, when I give you back Torah, and when I pour my ruach on all people, which is the breath of Yah, talking about the sons and daughters of the slave trade, that's us. He says, your old men, when they go to sleep, they'll start having dreams about things that are in line with Torah. The ruach even spoke to us, Yah, our king, spoke to us about how Yah's ruach will bring certain things to our remembrance. All right? So our old men will once again, which is a beautiful thing, dream dreams. What else? He says, your young men shall see visions. When? When they return to Torah. Now, for the first time, they'll be able to see the scriptures. They'll be able to see things now. When they read the Torah, they'll be able to see what the prophets saw. They'll be able to understand and unravel certain things. This, again, ain't got nothing to do with that European thing of always just, and I can see, and I see a vision, and somebody came to me the other night, I see a vision. Man, that lying spirit right there will be judged Won't get into that right now. These visions are being able to see what has already been revealed in script. Why? Because when we don't have Torah and we don't have Yah's ruach interpreting Torah to us, we can read the book and can't see it. So one of the promises is we will once again be able to see. Oh my. We're going to see visions. And also upon the servants. What? And upon the handmaids in those days, what was going to happen? He said they're also going to receive the ruach. They'll also understand Torah. The workers, the servants, which we would call today employees. The workers, those that are considered to be insignificant to the world, the so-called blue-collar people, or the no-collar people. Woo! He said, but wait till I start the reparation process. Wait till I start it. You will know it started. You will know that the reparation, which is the repairing process, will take place when you see these sons and daughters of the scattered house of Israel seem like all of a sudden wake up to their true identity, turn back to Torah, submit to their covenant, begin to interpret the scriptures correctly, begin to interpret the visions of the Bible correctly. When you will see the average person who is a handmaid and a servant be able to open the Bible and see things crystal clear like they've never seen them before, you will know for a fact that the reparation, the process of reparation have begun, which I said in the previous video, represents the restoration of Israel, the true house of Israel, while at the same time it represents the ruin of what is the beast and the beast system, which we know is white European world domination and white European supremacy. It comes to an end when we wake up to truth. Why? Well, we're going to have to get to that in the next video. Because we're going to show you that Abba Yah has his hand in it. Now, for all of you Europeans that's always sneak listening on the channel, let me say something. This ain't got nothing to do with no prejudice or nothing. All I'm saying is this, right? There has been no nation that has ever ruled this world forever. Every kingdom got a rise and a fall, a rise and a fall, a rise and a fall. And because we got the truth and we telling you, hey, this is now the fall, and it is. This ain't for you to get mad. If I was you, I'd just join the winning team. I'd become one of the companions of the house of Israel. I ain't talking about nobody coming up out of Europe either. I'm talking about the true bloodline descendant. And I would bow down to the real king, the lion of the tribe of Yehuda from that fourth tribe, hair like lamb's wool, feet like burnt brass, eyes like flames of fire, whose name is Yahushua HaMashiach. One Love Zion. We will pick it up so we can continue moving through this book. We got to get to that valley of Jehoshaphat. We'll get to that in the next video. One Love. Support the work of the Ark. We need it more than you would ever know. Not only to take care of all the things we have to take care of, but that we continue, but so that we can can continue to be a blessing to others. Because you all just don't know how many people really depend on the generosity of the ark. So one love, just understand something. We are in these last days, and he is pouring out his ruach, which is his word, up on the children, the sons and daughters of the house of Israel that was scattered through captivity. Exciting times. One love. Shalom.